She just says, 3 white butterflies to know that you're near. And then she starts going into the song. But see, overall, even after analyzing it, I don't find it particularly interesting. We'll get into our overall ratings later on. But
interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it's a song that I particularly like. It stuck out to me. Well, what about you? I know you liked it.
I mean, initially I like the way it sounds. Just something about it sounds ethereal and slightly Disney-like.
It does, but I feel like Sweet sounds more Disney-like.
That's true.
Sweet sounds like Sleeping Beauty to me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, there were just some parts that I really liked, like after the fallible deity, I'm folk, I'm jazz, I'm blue, I'm green. That part, the way she sings it is nice.
Oh, okay, I see. I never actively listened to those parts and like thought about it and was like, oh yeah, that's good. I don't think this song ever really stuck out to me, and even I think if I listened to it maybe once again, I haven't listened to it after I did the analysis, which is funny because I've listened to all the other songs off the album.
We usually start with that.
Yeah. We actually forgot to listen to the song today, but that's okay. We generally like to listen to the song before we record the episode.
Yeah.
But today we passed on that.
The title I also find interesting because it's so wordy.
It definitely is, and the meaning of that is something I really don't want to get into. I don't know what you found, but that's something. We'll get into it.
Yeah, definitely. So do we want to start?
What else were we supposed to talk about in the beginning?
First impressions, the title.
Oh, yes. Well, the title, we won't say much about it right now because it's like a whole verse in itself. Yeah, that's basically it. So, the first line.
3 white butterflies to know you're near.
Well, why don't you explain the symbolism of 3 white butterflies?
So I looked into like 3 white butterflies as a unit, and I couldn't find anything specifically on 3. But white butterflies can symbolize anything from peace, trust, wisdom, rebirth, innocence, purity, even the 7th chakra.
Okay,
which is apparently something about the head. And then white in itself can have various different meanings. I mean, for most it's innocence or purity. It can also be salvation, heaven, surrender, and then if you're Emily Dickinson, passion.
Okay, I can understand that, but well, actually, I think those are all really great points of what the 3 white butterflies could symbolize. But I just did a quick Google search and like 3 white butterflies equals spiritual transformation. So I didn't really take it. Yeah. So I didn't really take it that deep. I was just like, okay, spiritual transformation seems something that could be very applicable based on some of our previous analyses. So yeah. Okay. What do we think about 3 white butterflies? Anything else?
Well, officially, like you said, spiritual rebirth, and then I think also wisdom. Wisdom's going to play, at least for my analysis, wisdom's going to play a key part in this.
Okay, I see.
Being intertwined.
I noticed that at some point she does talk about wisdom. I don't recall which part, but she does say it. And we'll definitely breeze over that, but I think for me, a key role in this analysis was definitely the spiritual transformation. I think this whole album was about transformation, just based off, I think Fingertips really kind of, after analyzing Fingertips, there was a lot of eureka moments, at least in my mind, for me, overall as the album, like listening to all the other songs and how they kind of connect to each other, which we'll get into in the final episode. But yeah, spiritual transformation. And let's also go over... Oh, I'm sorry.
We forgot to do one word. We always sum it up in one word.
Oh, yes, of course. Should we first finish this line and then we'll do one word? Okay. So, I knew we forgot something. But the rest of it is to know that you're near.
So who did you have as you?
Well, she references God a lot. And later on in the song, she says, God, if you're near, send me 3 white butterflies. So this is just the same sentence, just altered around. So I didn't initially figure it out. I always keep you pretty ambiguous.
Yeah.
but in this case, you implying God.
Interesting. That's what I got first, like this initial you, but then definitely when she repeats this line at the end, it's changed much. The very last line.
God, if you're near, send me through your butterflies. Okay, we'll see.
The last line is the exact same as the first line. 3 wet butterflies to know you're near.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I never wrote that line. That's all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 wet butterflies to know that you're near. That's great.
Mm-hmm. So the next line.
Wait. You say it. I'm sorry. Mine is all messed up.
I know they think that it took somebody else.
Oh, yes, of course.
Well, we could connect it to the next line to make me.
Oh wait, we were gonna do one word.
Oh wait. Okay.
This is chaos. Apologies. What's your one word?
My one word.
See, I don't think I like this analysis enough to come up with a one word, but I'm just gonna say spiritual transformation because it's all about a spiritual transformation.
Way back. Like, way home.
Paris, Texas. Venice, California.
Yeah.
All right. I think they think it took somebody else.
To make me beautiful.
To make me beautiful.
Beautiful. She repeats it.
Yeah.
So this line is pretty straightforward, I think.
Well, what did you think?
Basically, I thought it was her addressing the fact that people say she's had work done, or designers, all the things that people say about celebrities. Like
Right.
this plastic surgery and that plastic surgery to look like the ideal version of celebrities. And it's interesting they say make me, like it was forced. Not like she was considered beautiful, she was made to be beautiful.
Yeah, I can see that. I took this in less of a materialistic way and rather like it took somebody else to make me successful, which I think she also goes over in a few other lines. So basically someone else is making her beautiful, her artistry, her music amazing and great, because this whole time whenever I've thought about Lana Del Rey herself, if we're referring to Lana as the protagonist here, I've always thought of her as an artist rather than like an actual person, and I think this album has definitely made her more human, as we've mentioned before. But yeah, I've always just thought about her as a poet and a music maker and a writer, somebody who resonates with you like that.
Well, I think that's a very good point.
Do you have anything else to say about this line?
Not for that one, no.
Okay. As they intended me to be.
So here we have a they. And there's always, the pronouns in this are very ambiguous. So like we don't know who they is. I mean, it's pretty...
Yeah.
One can infer that it's like the industry, the music industry, her producers.
Well, this is a reference back to the last line. She says it took somebody else to make me beautiful, as they intended me to be.
Yeah.
Once again, her producers, like you just said, they might have created this persona of Lana Del Rey as we know it, and intended for her. I think Lana Del Rey, the concept of Lana Del Rey, was supposed to be like almost the concept of a Hannah Montana. Was almost supposed to be set up to create this alias and to create this successful glam girl from LA. So, as they intended me to be, as people, whoever controlled Lana Del Rey, then her fans kind of came in later on and intended her to be something or someone based on this assumption that we had.
I took it much more materialistically. Like she was supposed to be naturally beautiful and naturally amazing and naturally a star. But since she wasn't, like as a teenager, she wasn't the glam girl you were talking about.
Right.
And they made her to be.
Right.
And so she's accused of like having work done, having things done for her.
Yep. No, yeah, I think that's definitely very viable. And I think that's just an overall... I think both the things that I said and what you said could be combined into one almost conclusion. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Everybody intended her to be something. We don't exactly know what that something is necessarily, but we can assert
could
that
be successful,
it's...
or could be
for sure.
beautiful, or just... I think glam girl kind of
sums it up.
Both, yeah.
Yeah.
So the next line, but they're wrong.
But they're wrong. So
what did you have for this?
Well, this could imply that Lana has felt like that she works so hard to create this Lana persona, to create this image, to create everything, and the fact that people are giving credit to someone else makes her upset, even though they might have pushed that further, because Lana went 90% of the way and then the 10% was just giving that last boost to skyrocket her. She doesn't get as much credit as she should get. And additionally, Lana Del Rey is telling honest stories about her life in this album, so people can't recognize that these are her own stories at times. Not all fans, but some of them. What about you?
Well, I thought it was interesting, this line, because it could be, if you just take it at face value, it could be they're wrong, like her saying that it didn't take someone else to make her beautiful, or it could be she's saying that the very fact that they intended for her to be beautiful and made and like forced her into it is wrong.
Yeah. Anything else that we have to say about this line?
No.
All right. So I know they think that it took thousands of people. My lyrics are messed up.
Thousands of people. Do we connect to the next line?
Sure.
To put me together again like an experiment.
Okay.
So
where do we want to start for this?
Well, who were the thousands of people to you?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, but it's her fans who are the thousands of people, and putting her back together again, I thought of Taylor Swift at this moment, because we saw Taylor Swift disappear for a good couple of years, and then she was slowly put back together again, and now Taylor Swift is once again one of the most successful. She was always one of the most, and she is one of the most successful females in the industry. But so like slowly put back together again, Taylor coming back stronger than a 90s trend. I know I'm not supposed to be talking about Taylor here, but I think a similar situation could be happening to Lana, because her becoming of Lana Del Rey put Lana as a person, as a soul, back together again via this spiritual transformation.
That's similar to what I had. So like in her teen years when like she tried to kill herself, which we talked about in the fingertips, and generally just like her life being a mess, and then she found music and obviously became the Lana.
Right.
So like it improved for her, and that is the like putting back together.
Exactly, precisely. So yeah, those were kind of the things that accumulated to create this kind of like reparation,
yeah,
and to create this Lana Del Rey v Lizzie Grant, and then that blends into some big man behind the scenes.
Now this one I find interesting.
Well, I took this at face value, which is just like, yeah, you're in the industry, somebody's gonna sit behind the scenes and put you back together again. They think it took those people to put her back together, but really that was her own effort to do that. And then like the big man fixed her, the big man created Lana for her, and that was almost something that fixed her, but really it was Lana's own shift in her mindset that created the true Lana Del Rey.
Yeah. And this one, like, it could be the big man is like her producer or director, whatever, like writing the songs or telling her what she should write. And it could also go deeper than that, to the very root of what she sings about. Like, people will take her music as a clue as to who she's dating, lens, rather than seeing it as a song.
Or a story.
A story, exactly. Her trying to tell a story. And maybe it's not even biographical. Maybe it's just
for sure
words that she wants to sing. And they only see what man is inspiring her music.
I agree.
And I think a similar lens is taken for Taylor Swift. I mean, I'm sorry, I keep talking about Taylor Swift, but like all the songs that people are like, oh, this is about Joe Alwyn and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Whoever it wants to be, Dear John. Waiting for the 10-minute
Cornelia
version of
Street
that.
about Carly Kloss. I mean,
oh, I would love that. that goes into So I Am Frankenstein. Black Dreams into my song. So let's start with So I Am Frankenstein.
So I wondered whether she meant Frankenstein like as the book or pop culture Frankenstein.
Well, why don't you explain the difference between the two?
Well, in the actual book, Frankenstein is the name of the scientist who creates the monster, and the monster is just called Frankenstein's monster. But in a lot of pop culture, we've seen that Frankenstein has become the name of the creature.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting.
So in this case, it would make sense that she's talking about the pop culture version of Frankenstein because, like I said, Frankenstein is the actual monster itself, which is made up of the combined body parts of several corpses, joined together by this crazy doctor.
Yeah, I think
put together again.
Put together again, just like a Frankenstein science experiment, which is basically what Frankenstein was, almost literally like a science experiment. So when she's put back together like Frankenstein, we also have to understand the connotations of Frankenstein. Frankenstein is a monster.
Not whole.
Yeah.
Never human.
Yeah. Frankenstein is a depiction of like what one might call ugly. Frankenstein is a depiction of something that people may not look at and think, oh, it's a beauty. What a great thing. Like to some people it's a marvel of science, but to others it's just Frankenstein. So to the people who really see through Lana, they see the like scientific, oh, it's an actual scientific breakthrough, while those who just look at Frankenstein at face value, they can't see what's really there in Frankenstein.
They see only the surface level.
Exactly.
And after, I mean, at least in the book, after a point, the monster gets so tired of being branded as this specific thing that he embraces it. And
precisely.
If you're gonna, he's just takes on the attitude like, if you're gonna call me a monster, then I'll show you how much of a monster I can truly become.
And I think Lana kind of takes that back in this song. She's like, let me show you the transformation that I'm making here. Let me show you how I can change, how I'm not this Frankenstein, how I'm something else. So, next slide.
Black dreams into my song.
All right, so let's define black dreams.
So what did you have the definition as?
Well, black dreams, actually. Oh, it's an emotional darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, having this emotional darkness in her songs, it's something that someone else can see. So this other person can really see through you, and they can either see your emotional depth, or they think you're living in an emotional darkness where you don't have that emotional depth.
Interesting. So I'm sure when we researched black dreams, we both got the same results. So emotional darkness. And I think the way she phrases it, so I am Frankenstein, black dreams into my song, but they're wrong, as the next line. I mean, we'll get to that later, but it seems like almost they're claiming that she just turns all of her emotional darkness, emotional baggage into her music, and that's the only thing that it is. It's just
that's a good point you
sadness.
make. That's a great point.
And they say that she's like this broken, not whole monster who just makes sadness music.
But I can definitely see where that's coming from.
And they don't see her music as like the stories that she's trying to tell.
That's a great explanation. I think that blends into the next line, which is, but they're wrong. Once again, they're wrong. So, truly, I don't think she's ever put her emotional baggage into really any of her songs until this album. So, they're wrong.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And then now we get into the pre-chorus and the chorus. God, if you're near, send me 3 white butterflies.
So, I mean, what did you have for the
Well, now we know who you is, God. Yeah. That's a very spiritual thing. So maybe now she's accepting her spiritual, life, her spiritual aspect of her life, and she's asking for these 3 white butterflies. She wants to show and she wants to create this spiritual transformation for herself. so that she can be better as a person to show these people, like, this is not who I am.
Yeah, I mean, I got a very similar thing, like, the God, it's almost like finding spirituality. And it's not necessarily like, now Lana Del Rey is a Christian. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like, it's just finding God as a symbol of some sort of higher power. And then the 3 white butterflies in this instance, I mean, I had it as wisdom, but it could mean many things with positive connotations. I mean, the
next thing is wisdom, or an owl to know.
Yeah, an owl to know you're listening, sitting while I'm drinking.
Okay. Why don't you explain that?
Well, owls, I mean, they definitely are most commonly seen as a symbol of wisdom. And they can also mean things like wealth and prosperity and luck, but, I mean, most often it's wisdom. To know you're listening, to know... No, I found the end of this very interesting. Sitting while I'm drinking. It's like, it's almost bitter sounding.
Yeah.
Like, she's saying to God, like, send me a sign so that I know while I'm here having problems and drinking to not feel the pain, you're hearing me and just sitting there.
I feel like in this case, it's almost like, tell me to stop drinking. Like, once you say stop, I'll stop. Like, I'm, like, the moment when you say stop, I'll stop. And give me that wisdom, once again, an owl, to know that you're listening. Like, if you give me the wisdom, I'll know that you're listening to me, like, drinking. I'm drinking because I'm waiting for a sign from you. You're giving me that sign. That's an owl, right? So, yeah, basically, face value, that kind of thing. And then that goes into chorus. Grandfather, please stand on the shoulders of my father while he's deep sea fishing for sharks in the Pacific.
Pacific. I don't.
Yeah, what did you think about this?
Number 1, it's so wordy.
It is really, really wordy.
So I assumed that grandfather was referring to her paternal grandfather, just from what I know about her family dynamic. Like, she's not necessarily close to her mother. Plus the whole stand on the shoulders of my father. And for that, I saw it as, like, watching over my father. And my analysis of this gets much more logical once it repeats again, just with the different...
Yeah, with the different ending.
Yeah.
Like, for everything that he's wishing for.
Yeah.
But I think it was kind of almost a reflection, because he's fishing, right? And if the father is sitting on top of the grandfather, the grandfather is sitting on top of the father, it's like I feel like that's like a reflection of her, like, strength, and, like, this is her family, so you can see that strength in her family. And, like, the care towards that grandfather, please stand on the shoulders of my father.
Yeah.
That, like, that initiative that he's taking, Lana knows that she might be taking it soon as well. So she wants that example or something. This line was very, very confusing, actually.
Yeah, I agree. Well, he's deep sea fishing for sharks in the Pacific.
Well, sharks are fast-moving animals, and they're not still. So that's something where the father has to almost modulate for the for the father or the grandfather, whoever is actually fishing,
to catch the
shark.
Also, in, like, deep sea fishing, you've got to deal with all the waves and the constant rocking, and it's very tumultuous. Tumultuous?
Yeah.
So,
tumultuous?
I don't know if that's the right word.
How do you spell it? It's okay, we won't get that into.
No idea.
We won't get into it right now. But yeah, so it's kind of a difficult task to be deep sea fishing.
And that like, the improbability of ever catching a shark while you're deep sea fishing.
Right.
Like, you can do it, but it's not likely, is definitely connects back to what is said when this is repeated.
Yeah, agreed. Because I'm good on spirit, warm-bodied. All right, so, good on spirit. Let's start with that.
I like this line because, at least the way I interpret it, is like a play on words. So she's talking to God, right? So she says, I'm good on spirit, which means, like, I have spirit. I don't need any ghosts or supernatural beings, gods in my life. Like, later she calls herself a deity. So, like, she has enough of that. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense, but, like, she doesn't need this spirit of God guiding her in life. but also spirit is a way to refer to alcohol. So she has enough alcohol stocked up.
Okay,
that's like the play on words that I got.
That's an interesting analysis. I could have took it in a different way where she said, because I'm good on spirit, she almost believes in God so much. She knows that God is going to give her the spiritual transformation, that she's almost asserting it, manifestation. She's asserting the fact that she's good on spirit because she's almost manifesting the fact that she's going to have spirit via what God is going to do for her. And then...
warm bodied.
Warm-bodied.
So what did you give for the definition of this?
Well, I didn't really Google the definition. I didn't think that was, like, needed for this line. I kind of just took it from my own interpretation, because I thought maybe... well, let's not give the explanation. But, warm-bodied is almost like, I'm sweet. I'm, like... I'm know where I am right now. And I feel like it's almost like a placeholder.
Interesting. So, based on what I Googled... warm-bodied can mean like a person who is present, so you can just refer to like there's some warm.
They take
bodies.
up space.
Yeah, take up space. And also, I looked in the Urban Dictionary, and it can also mean someone who's like uneducated, and also it can be associated with loneliness.
So someone who's ready to learn about something, like ready to transform.
Yeah, ready to transform is a great way to put it.
And then a fallible deity wrapped up in white. Do you want to start?
Okay. So for this, obviously, fallible means like capable of making mistakes. And deity means like a divine ruler or goddess. And so a fallible deity, it's almost an oxymoron, except it's not. Like we know, at least in Greek mythology, that deities are definitely capable of making mistakes. But in a lot of, I don't know, I wouldn't say a lot of modern religion, but at least in like much of what I have seen of Christianity, God is seen as like unfallible. Someone who doesn't make mistakes and has a purpose for everything, and like that's God's will. But she's saying she's a fallible deity, which is very interesting.
Well, I kind of took it really in the definition way. I told you this earlier, but a fallible deity is kind of, it's like, well, deity means God. So, and she also says wrapped up in white. And when you think of white and God, the first thing that came to me, especially because this is Lana Del Rey, was a song written by Lana Del Rey called White Dress, where there's a line, there are actually a few lines where she states, because it made me feel like a god. And that was a few albums ago in one of my personal favorite albums from her. And I think since this has become a spiritual transformation, she's almost transformed because now she knows that she's susceptible to making mistakes. So she's no longer this all-perfect god like she was in White Dress. And now she's a fallible kind of one. She's a god who is accepting towards her mistakes.
Yeah, and that's similar to what I got, except I researched the symbolism of white clothing, because I know you said it reminded you of white dress, but like one of the symbols of white clothing is a fresh start.
Right.
Which is going to tie very much into my analysis later. But
Precisely.
she's like accepting that now she's a new person, and that new person, while still being powerful as a deity, is capable of making mistakes and just does make mistakes.
Precisely.
Because no one is perfect.
Yeah,
and now she's not having the pressure to be perfect.
Now we're going to get into one of your favorite lines. I'm folk, I'm jazz, I'm blue,
no, I'm green. So, what did you get for this?
Well, I kind of didn't take it with too many harsh connotations. It was just, I'm folk, I'm jazz. Meaning she can modulate. She has lots of different versions of what she can sing. She's willing to sing anything. She claims, I am that. She believes that she can be able to get into that persona. That she's that great. Lana is so versatile that she can be folk, jazz, blue, or green. What about you?
Yeah, for the first half, the I'm folk, I'm jazz, very much I got the versatility of not just, I mean, it goes beyond music. Like, she's just saying that over her career, she has been many different things. And she is a very versatile singer. I think you can see the difference in all of her songs.
I agree, for sure.
But the next one, blue, as a color, symbolizes serenity, which can connect to serene queen. But also, it symbolizes wisdom, which is another way that wisdom is interwoven in this song. And then green can mean growth, and it also means new beginnings.
Okay, yeah.
So by being green, she is the new beginning.
Yes, for sure. And then
the next
line.
The next line confused me. At least at the beginning.
I think I figured out a decent analysis for it.
Okay, so what did you...
Regrettably, also a white woman. Would you like me to start?
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
All right. So I think white women, or at least white people in general, when in the music industry, their power of their stories are undermined because naturally they're privileged, aren't they? And at least that's the depiction that we've kept of them. So Lana Del Rey being so vulnerable in this album, I haven't said that word since 2020, being so vulnerable in this album, she's able to almost feel like that her story isn't deemed almost like strong enough, and you would think that like white people have created these sob stories to almost suck up to people, make them like try and resonate with people, false relatability false relatability, and in this case it's Lana trying to like explain, hey, this is my intentions, I'm good, and we're gonna get into that later, but she's trying to say that like my story is important too, despite the fact that I'm a white woman. Like, if I wasn't, would my story still be worth as much?
Interesting. And I like the way that fits with the line before. Definitely. For this line, at least, it'll become more clear in my later analysis, but I think she's addressing Lizzie Grant with this. Okay. And not I didn't take it as like white women as the race, rather white women as the like color, in the way she's referencing color before, like blue and green as a symbolism, so like innocent.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, that's a great, I feel like a lot of what Lana writes has a double meaning. So I really like that we're bringing some double meanings in here, because a lot of these parts we've kind of come up with these little differences that we've each found. So that's really interesting, because I think Lana intentionally put in these double meanings rather than it just meaning one thing.
Okay, so the next line, but I have good intentions, if even I'm one of the last ones. And this confused me a lot, because I thought I read it wrong. Oh. But the way she writes if even and then flips it is very interesting.
I looked at this and I connected it immediately back to the last line. She has good intentions. That's what Lana's stating here. Lana's stating that she wants to prove that she has a relatable, she has a she has a like solid story that people can relate to, people can feel it. And she also says if I am the last one, if she's the last white woman who can bring this story, and it's not a sob story, it's a true story. She wants people to grow from it. She wants people to learn and understand what she went through, so that they can feel that they're not alone. They can feel that they're with these other people who are there to support them, including Lana Del Rey. So I think that's what she's trying to just say here. Like, I have good intentions with these songs. I'm not trying to attack anyone. I'm not trying to like make you sad. You want to be sadder. Like, it's just Lana saying that I make these songs because I enjoy it and I want to show my passion for music.
So for this line, I thought it was interesting. She said good intentions, because like people say that it's the thought that counts, right? So she intended for things to be good, but perhaps her actions themselves were not good, which, I mean, that's understandable because she's a fallible person.
Right. Exactly, precisely.
Deity. And then one of the last ones, was she talking about the last people in the music industry with good intentions? Could she be talking about, like, the originality of her music and the fact that she writes them herself? Whereas, like, it's a big controversy that a lot of music is, like, mass-produced and all sounds the same. And this line is almost
good point.
arrogant in a way.
I agree. I think, well, I'm not sure, actually. It could be taken anywhere.
It could be.
Do you want to move on to the next slide?
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, my poetry or my melodies, feel it in my bones. I think this just connects back to the last line, which was her saying, I have good intentions. This is her proving it. She's saying, it's okay if you don't believe me. I just want you to know that this is my true intention. Like, I know it's hard to believe me. She's accepting that, like, okay, some people are not going to believe me because of the situation that she's put in.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I would agree. Definitely for the... I agree on the, like, if you don't believe me, if you don't believe that my intentions were good. But I got a different analysis for my poetry and my melodies.
Okay, go ahead.
Like, the way she says my poetry and my melodies, it's like, even if you don't believe that I wrote it myself, even if you don't believe that these stories are true, that what I'm saying is true, and that I'm writing this by myself and this music is coming from me and is about, not necessarily about what I went through, but, like, the stories that I want to tell, then you can still feel in your bones that this music means something.
For sure, I agree. That's a good point that you make. My poetry, my melodies.
Yeah.
And I actually wrote it in, like, an italic-y kind of way, so I don't know why it didn't stand out to me. But yeah, I really like that because it belongs to her and it should belong to her. The next line, I have good intentions even if I'm the last one. Once again, repetition. I think she's just trying to reiterate this, get it into people's bones if it's already in hers.
And there's a switch, but I'm not really sure what's significant about the switch other than the grammar, like, corrects itself.
I have good intentions even if...
Versus if even. Like, the first time she says it, she says, I have good intentions if even.
Does she?
Yeah.
I wrote it as even if.
Yeah, because that's what makes sense. So that's
that,
like
probably,
it's a little odd.
Perhaps it was my own brain correcting the grammar. Yeah, maybe. The next line is the repetition of the chorus, except, grandfather, please stand on the shoulders of my father, while he's deep sea fishing for all the things he's wishing.
Yeah. So
I love the rhyme.
Yeah. So I have a bit chaotic.
Okay, why don't you go ahead?
Do you want to start?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so, well, for all the things he's wishing... Okay, I'll start with this one. So, like, catching a shark seems really improbable. Like, it's and almost silly and unattainable. And that could translate to, like, the things that he's wishing for are almost unattainable, or they seem improbable or unlikely. And my father... Well, he's deep sea fishing, so we know that Lana Del Rey tried to drown herself, right?
Right. And
by doing that, she lost Lizzie Grant. So, in my analysis, that Lizzie is still lost in the ocean, and what he's looking for in the ocean is he's trying to get Lizzie Grant back.
That's a really good point. May I ask, why might he be looking for Lizzie?
That's a good point. I don't know. I just know that.
I really like that analysis. I think it's really, really cool that people, maybe like her family, are wishing that Lizzie came back because they know, and because he's wishing it, and we know that Lana has a close relationship with her father, and I feel like we also know that Lana kind of wants Lizzie back too.
Yeah, that's what's...
So maybe that's why she's saying, please, grandfather, stand on... Because she knows that perhaps... And if the grandfather is the one sitting on the shoulders, the grandfather is the one looking out for finding something, and the father... While the father is casting the line or whatever.
Yeah.
So perhaps in that case, she's telling the grandfather, hey, do this because you're looking... And I think the shark example is like a test, a trial to see, like, how far can we do this? How is this attainable? And then maybe going into Lizzie, that's kind of something else. That's like them, like, actually trying to achieve it.
So the next line, God, if you're near me, send me 3 white butterflies or a map to know you're fishing. Impart on me your wisdom. So what did you get for this line?
Well, basically the same thing for the initial, God, if you're near, send me 3 white butterflies. Or a map to know you're fishing. It's like saying she wants to know what he's looking for. And I think it's just like, it's like a map. It's a map to know you're fishing. So maybe this map that she's requesting is the one that she will give to the grandfather who is fishing. And then impart on me wisdom. Impart on me wisdom of where I should go, what I should do, what I should tell the grandfather, or something along the lines of that.
Yeah. So this line, I mean, it got a little bit chaotic in my analysis, but like the map, it's like a map to where is the first thing, like a map to where. And so it's like help her find her way. Right. And then, so I wrote here, is the father in terms of like God, like the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and whatnot, but to know you're fishing. And so we know her father is fishing. So perhaps that like there can be some sort of ambiguity or like interchangeably God and Father are being used. And then I think that the map is a way back to Lizzie. So like, send me a way to get back to who I was, so that I know you're looking for me. So that I know that you want her to come back.
That's a great analysis.
I think Lana also wants Lizzie to come back. And like we said, this album could be seen as a signing off. Yeah. Almost.
And then we're kind of done with the chorus at this point, and these are the last few lines. She says, it took somebody else to make me beautiful, wonderful.
Yeah. So what did you have for this?
Well, once again, this is reiteration. She's saying that, like, hey, listen to me, listen to what I'm going to say, what I'm going to tell you. Like, I mean, I feel like we can just group the whole last few lines. And then she says, as they intended to me to be, but they're wrong. So she's basically saying, once again, like, this is what they wanted me to be. This is not who I am. And I have to go find who I am. I have to go find Lizzie again. Signing off, bang, bang, kiss, kiss,
Yeah. Okay. So this line,
all right,
she doesn't say they think. She's just saying, like, straight up, it did take someone else to make me beautiful and wonderful. And the person that it took, at least in my analysis, is Lana Del Rey. She was Lizzie Grant. And it took her becoming Lana Del Rey for her to be this beloved, beautiful symbol. Like, whoever she was before that wasn't seen as wonderful, wasn't the glam girl we were talking about. She was just Lizzie Grant. But when she became Lana Del Rey, that's the one person it took for her to reach this wonder.
I agree, for sure. That makes a lot of good sense.
And the as they intended to me to be is the same as before, but they're wrong. And this is like, they're wrong for forcing her into this new persona just to be wonderful. And they're wrong for only seeing the superficial her. And so essentially, they're wrong for not loving Lizzie Grant.
Yeah, that's basically everything that we have, right?
And then, the last line, 3 white butterflies.
Oh, yes, is repeated. Of course. What did you think of that?
So I think that this time she's talking to Lizzie. And, like, she's saying to Lizzie, give me some sign, give me, I don't know, wisdom or peace or whatever. Peace definitely works, but like anything that white butterflies have stood for in our analysis, to know that you're like still there, and that this fake persona hasn't covered you up for too long, and I haven't lost you. And so, I mean, yeah, I think she's addressing Lizzie Grant in the final line. So
I think that's great.
Overall analysis? I have
rating?
Well, no, I have a wrap up.
I don't really have a wrap up. I'm just the overall spiritual transformation. Lana Del Rey changing into Lizzie Grant. I think this whole thing is just about her and her growing up and then wanting to return back because she almost dislikes the person that she's become now.
Yeah.
What's your wrapping up statement?
So I think this song is talking about how she's changed over the course of her career. And like now she's accepted that she's not perfect, but she still recognizes that she's powerful. And now she wants a new beginning. So she has the wisdom that she's gotten from learning everything there is. Not everything there is, but like she has obviously gotten wisdom from her experiences. And her father is looking for her in this my analysis,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure why, but it's like she's almost asking for a way back to not only him but a way back to herself.
I agree. I think that's also like the whole fact of the matter when she's gonna go back to Venice, California, Paris, Texas,
Yeah.
all of that. So then we're gonna see that later as well.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. So
Ratings.
overall rating.
Analysis.
Well,
rating.
analysis rating.
What's your analysis rating?
I really liked your analysis. So after hearing that, I'm gonna give it a solid. I'm gonna give it a 6.8.
Mm.
As an overall analysis, combine you and me, 6.8, maybe 7
Yeah.
out of 10. What about you?
I would say somewhere around 7.
Mm-hmm.
Like combined analysis.
Right.
This.
Mm-hmm. What about overall for the song?
For this song, well, I mean, I know you didn't like it, but I like the way that it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those songs that, while it does sound nice, it can get old.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say initially it would have been an 8. Now it's probably like 7.1.
Okay, I can see that. For me, this song is just like a 5 or a 6.
Mm.
Nothing like too attractive necessarily, but it's a decent song. It's a good song. We like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So, thank you for listening today. Please stay tuned for the next episodes. We are coming out with Sweet Part 2, so stay tuned for that. And then, what else do we have coming up?
Kintsugi.
And
Paris, Texas.
whatever is next. And the final analysis where we're going to connect everything. So, thank you so much for listening. Have a good day. Bye.
Always overthink.
Yes, always overthink because that's what we do.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
She just says 3.